Salam keluarga Malaysia. Hello and good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jessica Lee and you're watching News at 10. In our top stories tonight, rakyat urged to take opportunity to improve family economy. Kerana Jaya LRT line back to normal on weekdays very soon. The government continues to give focus to the people affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, including those who have lost their jobs. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the government, through the Ministry of Human Resources, always takes steps to ensure the welfare of workers and employers, particularly in the new economy such as the gig economy.
Jika pada tahun 2020 hanya segelintir gig riders dilindungi, kini lebih 260,000 mendapat perlindungan di bawah skim keselamatan sosial pekerja sendiri ataupun SKSPS perkeso setelah kerajaan turut menyumbang kepada caruman. Di bawah RMK 12, kita turut memberikan tumpuan khas kepada pengembangan ekonomi gig sebagai salah satu dimensi ekonomi baru yang perlu diberikan perhatian.
The Premier added that under the employment insurance scheme offered by SOXO, a total of 188,526 keluarga Malaysia have received financial benefits amounting to 1 billion ringgit to help those affected to continue their daily lives. The Prime Minister also said the Human Resource Development Corporation's Penjana program had successfully provided retraining to nearly 100,000 Malaysians from various backgrounds with an allocation of 500 million ringgit from 2020 to 2021. He urged the public to take the opportunity to improve the family economy through the various initiatives provided by the government. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister said the government has taken the appropriate actions on the procurement of the Littoral Combat Ship or LCS issue and did not ignore the matter. Now, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said the agencies responsible had also conducted investigations and the parties involved in misappropriation had been charged in court.
Tindakan dah pun diambil. Menteri Pertahanan telah pun membuat statement beberapa kali. Sama ada dia tak baca ataupun dia sengaja tak nak ambil tahu apa yang berlaku. Datuk Hisham dah pun membuat penjelasan. Syarikat yang terlibat daripada Perancis saya difahamkan telah pun bersetuju untuk meneruskan projek itu bersama dengan Bauster. Saya difahamkan melalui media lah.
He was replying to a statement of Pakatan Harapan Chairman Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, who was reported as demanding the Prime Minister for an apology to the armed forces over the procurement issue. The Sultan of Kelantan, Sultan Muhammad V, today expressed his hope that the projects announced by Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob in September could be implemented in the near future, including the Pengkalan Kubur Takbai Bridge and Phase 3 of the East Coast Highway LPT3. Now, His Highness also expressed gratitude for the high-impact projects in the state, such as the Kota Baru Kuala Krai Expressway, the East Coast Rail Link ECRL project, and the upgrading of the Sultan Ismail Petra Airport.
Betul juga menyambut baik kelulusan beberapa projek infrastruktur yang telah diumumkan oleh Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri melibatkan negeri Kelantan pada bulan September yang lalu. Antara projek pembinaan Jambatan Pengkalan Kuala Kubur Takbai dan sambungan lebuh raya Pantai Timur LPT3. Beta berharap projek-projek ini dapat dilaksanakan dalam tempoh terdekat.
The Sultan was speaking at the Kelantan investiture ceremony held in conjunction with his 53rd birthday at Istana Balai Besar, Kota Baru today. Meanwhile, in light of recent climate events in the country, Sultan Muhammad V told the state government to emphasize the importance of establishing a comprehensive flood management mechanism as the state is often hit by the disaster. His Highness hoped that the state government can look into the need of constructing Lerber Dam to complete the integrated basin project of Sungai Kelantan and Sungai Golok, which began 5 years ago. Now, apart from upgrading the public health facilities, more private clinics in the Sungai Buloh Parliamentary constituency will be registered under the Healthcare Protection Scheme for the B40 group, or PERKA B40. The Health Minister Kari Jamaluddin voiced his commitment for the effort while also explaining that health screening in the community residential areas will be carried out periodically.
Saringan kesihatan di tempat kediaman macam kita buat hari ini akan dibuat secara berkala. Maknanya mungkin setiap tahun kita akan buat sekali di kawasan-kawasan perumahan tertentu agar lebih mudah untuk mereka mendapat saringan. Ini adalah satu aku janji dalam manifesto yang penting bagi saya, ya, isu kesihatan.
In another development, Khairi also expressed his commitment to form a cooperation with the local authorities as well as the Joint Management Body, JMB, in order to solve the local issues involving flats and apartments. He said there is a need for such efforts after inspecting the Subang Surya and Flora apartments in Sungai Buloh. Malaysia Airlines will increase flight frequencies and use wide-body A330 aircraft on several routes in Peninsula, Sabah and Sarawak to ensure smooth and reliable connectivity for voters ahead of the 15th general election, or GE15. Now, the airline said it will increase the flights to 44 from 26 and upgrade to 24 from 16 domestic services on the A330 aircraft. In a statement today, the airline said those returning home on the 19th of November will also get a 20% discount one way, all-inclusive fare starting at RM104 via the airline's Jom Balik Mengundi campaign for bookings made by 19th of November for travel from the 11th until the 27th of November. The 20% discount applies to all fare categories, including light, basic and flex for economy class, as well as basic and flex for business class. Malaysia Airlines Berhad Group Chief Executive Officer Captain Izam Ismail said bookings on Malaysia Airlines have surged by 7% over its daily average, with nearly 70,000 passenger bookings since the 20th of October launch of Jom Balik Mengundi. The airline has raised capacity by 30% to main domestic destinations within Peninsular Malaysia, such as Pulau Pinang and Kota Baru, as well as Sabah and Sarawak. He urged customers to book early, with states like Pulau Pinang and Selangor declaring 18th of November as a public holiday. The Kelana Jaya Light Rail Train, or LRT line, will be fully operational on weekdays very soon. The Transport Minister, Datuk Seri Dr. Wee Ka Siong, said a series of tests indicated signalling and communications within the LRT system are in good condition. In a brief update today on Facebook, Datuk Seri Dr. Wee said the main aim of the tests was to ensure the stability and safety of the system. According to him, the continuing tests of the Automatic Train Control System, or ATC, were conducted by Rapid Rail while being monitored by the Rail Planning and Enforcement Divisions of the Land Public Transport Agency, APAD. He noted that teams ran 24 sets of trains throughout the entire Putra Heights Gombak line to test the system last night, and tests on 38 train sets on the line with a 5-minute headway are conducted today. He further said that he will continue to monitor the progress amidst his campaign for the 15th general election, or GE15, in Air Hitam, Johor, adding that he hopes he has good news to bear tomorrow. The LRT service between the Kelana Jaya and Ampang Park stations has been suspended for 7 days from 9th until the 15th of November due to a faulty ATC system. The Kelana Jaya line now only operates from Gombak Station to Damai Station and from Lembah Subang Station to Putra Heights Station. Kelantan Sultana Nordiana Petra Abdullah heads the list of 769 recipients of the state awards and medals in conjunction with the Sultan of Kelantan, Sultan Muhammad V's 53rd birthday today. Her Highness Sultana Nordiana Petra was conferred with the title Duli Yang Maha Mulia Sultana of Kelantan and the Darjah Kerabat Yang Amat Dihormati Al-Yunusi at the investiture ceremony held at Istana Balai Besar in Kota Baru. Her Highness Cik Puan Mahkota Kelantan, Cik Puan Sophie Louise Johansson, was conferred the title Sri Paduka Mahkota Kelantan or SPMK, which carries the title of Dato'. Also, having received the SPMK award is Pengiran Muda Abdul Kawi Ibni DYTM Paduka Sri Pengiran Perdana Wazir Syahibul Himah Wal Wakar Pengiran Muda Muhammad Bolkiah from Brunei Darussalam. Meanwhile, Tengku Muhammad Fakri Petra Ibni Almarhum Sultan Ismail Petra was bestowed the title Tengku Bendahara of Kelantan. Sultan Muhammad V also awarded the Darjah Sri Paduka Jiwa Mahkota Kelantan or SJMK, which carries the title Datuk to the Deputy Mufti of Kelantan, Datuk Nik Abdul Qadir Nik Muhammad, Finance Minister Datuk Tengku Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz, and Environment and Water Minister of Kasa, Datuk Sri Tuan Ibrahim Tuan Man. Also having received the Darjah Kebesaran Setia Mahkota Kelantan Yang Amat Terbilang or SPSK, which carries the title Dato', are Chief Commissioner of the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC, Tan Sri Azam Baki, and the Secretary General of the Foreign Ministry, Datuk Sri Amran Muhammad Zain. The investiture ceremony would be held twice, of which the first was held today, involving some 114 recipients, while the second ceremony would be held on a date to be announced later. Coming up, MACC to look into ringgit 2 billion flood mitigation project approval. Now, a proposal has been submitted to the state government of Sarawak to adopt the Businesses Registration Act 1956. Now, the idea was mooted by its Deputy Minister in the Sarawak Premier's Office for Corporate Affairs, Information and Sarawak Public Communications Unit, Datuk Abdullah Saidol. He said the Companies Commission of Malaysia or SSM has forwarded the proposal to the state government for consideration. Adopting the act in Sarawak will allow the local business community to enjoy various incentives and assistance offered by SSM. The act is not applicable in Sarawak and Sabah at the moment, as both states have their own ordinances and legislation in governing businesses registration. Minister of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs, Datuk Sri Alexander Nantalinggi, meanwhile, said discussions were ongoing with both Sarawak and Sabah so that the act would be applicable in both states in the future.
Mungkin ada kebimbangan di negeri ini sedikit sebanyak tentang bagaimanakah kuasa Sarawak dan Sabah. Tapi bagi saya yakinlah ini boleh dibincangkan supaya kuasa Sarawak dan Sabah tidak terjejas. Malah yang lebih penting adalah mereka yang berdaftar dengan bawah akta ini nanti akan dapat banyak manfaat daripada program-program yang akan diadakan secara berterusan.
When met after the launch of SSM's new office at City Square, Jalan Pending in Kuching today, he said the federal ministry intended to continue the engagements with both state governments for the benefit of the local business community and at the same time respecting the state's interests and rights on autonomy over certain matters. In his speech during the launching ceremony, Datuk Sri Alexander pointed out a total of 94,229 companies and 3,158 limited liability partnerships have registered with SSM as of 31st of October this year. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, or MACC, will look into allegations raised by PKR Deputy President Rafizi Ramli on the RM2 billion Sungai Langat 2 flood mitigation project in Selangor. Now, Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azam Baki said that no reports had been lodged on the allegation, but all the matters mentioned will be under the Commission's attention.
Kita ambil perhatianlah sebab kita ni segala maklumat yang diberikan oleh orang ramai baik dalam bentuk laporan cara bersemuka ataupun dalam mana-mana media, kita akan ambil makluman benda perkara itu dan sekiranya ada asas kita akan jalankan siasatan.
Asked if the MACC would record Rafizi's statement, Tan Sri Azam said no decision has been made, but the Commission welcomes Rafizi or any party to supply it with the information. Rafizi previously said a government source had informed him that the Water and Environment Ministry was awarding flood mitigation project worth RM2 billion through direct negotiations to a company with financial problems and owned by a person with links to UMNO. In a related development, Environment and Water Minister Datuk Sri Tuan Ibrahim Tuan Man said he is ready to be investigated by the MACC regarding the allegations on the flood mitigation project contract. He said he will give his cooperation if the MACC calls him to provide evidence regarding the matter.
Projek ini perancangan kerajaan persekutuan dalam bajet 15 bilion seluruh negara bagi menyelesaikan masalah banjir secara menyeluruh. Ya, jadi apa yang disebut itu memang ada dalam perancangan lama dah sebelum saya masuk lagi. Sebab berkala isu banjir yang berlaku ialah satu perancangan ambil masa yang panjang.
All 63 Malaysian Umrah pilgrims stranded in Saudi Arabia since last June have been brought home safely, with the last group of 23 pilgrims safely arriving at Kuala Lumpur International Airport, KLIA, today. Now, the return of the stranded Umrah pilgrims was carried out in compliance with the rules and laws set by the Saudi Arabia government. The Foreign Affairs Ministry in a statement today informed that a group of 23 people arrived at 1:20 p.m. via Malaysia Airlines flight from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, after the first group of 36 people arrived on the 4th of November, followed by the second group of 4 people on the 7th of November. The ministry said the Malaysian government expressed its appreciation to all parties involved in helping to bring home the pilgrims concerned. It added Malaysian citizens are advised to always obey and respect the laws of the host country to avoid any difficulties when abroad. In an earlier statement, the Foreign Affairs Ministry and the Minister's Office in the Prime Minister's Department of Religious Affairs informed that 63 Umrah pilgrims from Malaysia, comprising 28 adults and 35 children, were stranded in Saudi Arabia since last June. Coming up in our foreign segment, UN claims the world has failed strife-torn Myanmar. Bahrainis today headed to the polls, but a ban on opposition candidates means the elections will bring no meaningful change despite a record number of people vying for seats. More than 330 candidates, including a record 73 women, are competing to join the 40-seat Council of Representatives, the lower house of parliament that advises King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, who has ruled since his father died in March 1999. This is up from the 293 people, including 41 women, who ran for parliament in the last election in 2018. But the country, ruled by a Sunni dynasty, has barred its two main opposition groups from fielding candidates, the Shia al-Wefaq and secular Wa'ad parties, which were dissolved in 2016 and 2017. Ali Abdulrahman, a UK-based Bahraini human rights activist, said without the opposition, the people of Bahrain will not have a healthy country. Nearly 350,000 people were eligible to vote in the polls. Yet, restrictions have ignited calls for a boycott of the elections, which come more than a decade after a 2011 crackdown on Shia-led protesters demanding political reforms. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres today said the world had failed Myanmar and expressed hope the Association of Southeast Asian Nations would be able to pressure the member state to comply with its plan for peace over the next year. Now, ASEAN leaders said the group's ongoing summit in Phnom Penh agreed on a plan Friday that largely puts the onus on Indonesia when it takes over the group's rotating chair in 2023 to develop measurable indicators and a timeline for Myanmar to implement the so-called 5-point consensus for peace. Now, Indonesia has been one of the ASEAN countries most outspoken about the need to do more to address the situation in Myanmar. And Guterres told reporters he felt the Indonesian government will be able to push forward the agenda in a positive way. The ASEAN decision announced Friday includes asking the UN and other external partners for assistance in supporting the group's efforts. Now, ASEAN's peace plan calls for the immediate cessation of violence, a dialogue among all parties, mediation by an ASEAN special envoy, provision of humanitarian aid, and a visit to Myanmar by the special envoy to meet all sides. Now, China will continue to fine-tune its COVID prevention measures as it tries to minimize infections and serious cases. Officials said today, now a day after Beijing unveiled a spate of steps to lessen the impact of its heavy-handed zero COVID policy. China's top health authorities told a news conference that the new COVID easing measures were an optimization of rules and not a relaxation of controls. On Friday, China unveiled measures including shorter quarantines for inbound travelers and those in close contact with infected people in an announcement that was welcomed by investors. The quarantines were cut by 2 days to a total of 8, with the first 5 spent in a centralized facility. Chang Ji-lei, the Vice Administrator of the National Disease Control and Prevention Administration, said the shortened 2-day in quarantine could help China save 30% of quarantine resources. China today reported its largest tally of new COVID-19 infections since late April. The National Health Commission reported 11,950 new COVID-19 infections for the previous day, of which 1,504 were symptomatic and 10,446 were asymptomatic. Coming up in sport, Lim Kok Leong makes history with 2022 World Snooker Championship win. Now, Malaysia's snooker star Lim Kok Leong has done the country proud again. Now, just a month after winning the World Amateur Team title with Mo Kin Ho for the second time, the 27-year-old created history yesterday by becoming the nation's first cueist to be crowned world champion in Antalya, Turkey. According to the tournament's website, esnooker.pl, In the 2022 edition final match, which took place at Hotel Sueno Deluxe Belek, the 27-year-old cubist successfully brushed aside the challenge of Asian snooker champion Amir Sarkosh of Iran, 68-63, 67-42, 78-0, 87, 73-54 to claim a 5-0 win. In May, Kok Leong won the gold medal in men's individual snooker and billiards 6 red events and took home silver in the men's individual snooker event at the 31st SEA Games. Continuing that streak, Kok Leong also claimed the title in the world's men's team snooker championship with partner Mo Kin Ho last month, which saw the pair repeat the same feat at the 2015 edition in Karachi, Pakistan. Now, Kok Leong now joined the illustrious list of world amateur champions that boasts the likes of England's Jimmy White, Stuart Bingham and Mark Allen, Thailand's James Watana, Ireland's Ken Doherty, Scotland's Stephen Maguire and Hong Kong's Marco Fu. Johor Darul Takzim's JDT prolific striker Bergson Da Silva scored a hat-trick as he helped the Southern Tigers trash Kelantan FC 5-0 in the second leg of the Malaysia Cup quarter-final tie at the Sultan Ibrahim Stadium in Iskandar Puteri last night. Now, the huge win in front of the home crowd saw the 9-time Super League champions advance to the semi-finals with an aggregate score of 8-0, while Bergson has now scored 5 goals in the Malaysia Cup campaign so far. All 5 goals in last night's match were scored in the first half, with Muhammad Shami Safari and Muhammad Nazmi Faiz Mansour also getting onto the score sheets. The opening goal in the 12th minute came after Muhammad Nazmi capitalised on some poor ball control by Kelantan midfielder Felipe Herrera dos Santos and passed the ball to Bergson, who calmly slotted it in. The 31-year-old imported player from Brazil doubled the lead for JDT in the 34th minute after his superb free-kick left goalkeeper Ahmad Solehin Mamat stunned in goal. He completed his hat-trick 3 minutes later after taking advantage of a mistake by defender Muhammad Ghaffar Abdul Rahman and lashing the ball in past the goalkeeper. Now, it was more agony for Rizal Zamri Yahya's men as Muhammad Shami's sensational volley from outside the penalty box made it 5-0 for Hector Bidoglo's side. JDT's opponent in the semi-final will be 3 times runner-up Sabah FC, who beat Kuching FC 2-1 on aggregate after both teams played to a 1-1 draw in a rain-delayed second leg quarter-final at the Lika Stadium in Kota Kinabalu. Japanese import Taiki Kagayama was the toast of Sabah when he struck the winning goal in the 94th minute as the match went into extra time. Earlier, Kuching City took the lead in the 84th minute through an own goal by Umareng Bacho while trying to clear a corner kick. Now, both teams were deadlocked 1-1 on aggregate after 2 legs, forcing the winner to be decided on extra time play. It was Kagayama's first goal in Sabah's Malaysia Cup campaign. Now, Sabah had won the first leg 1-0 last week. And that concludes this evening's edition of News at 10. In our top story, Rakyat urged to take opportunity to improve family economy. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. I'm Jessica Lee. Yang SAHIH di RTM #MyPRU15.